Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a really healthy dinner and dessert combo, and it's going to be super easy. So I'm just going to do an eggplant parm, and then I'm going to also do a berry compote, which you can put on top of ice cream or yogurt. But yeah, let's just get right to it. So first thing we're going to start with is slicing the eggplant. I'm going to slice it into about 1 centimeter diameter rings. Slices. And then I'm going to lay them all out on a cutting board or any kind of flat surface like a cooking sheet or parchment paper, and I'm just going to sprinkle them with salt, and this is going to help to draw out the moisture that's inside of the eggplants. And then once I salt one side, I'm going to flip them all over, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Once we're all done with the eggplant, we're going to set that aside and move on to our mozzarella. So I have 2 balls of mozzarella. So with the first one, I'm going to slice it into these rough chops. It doesn't have to be perfect, and we're only going to do that for half of the mozzarella. Once we're all done with that, we're going to move on to grating the rest of the cheese. And we're going to grate everything we have left. Once you're finished with your cheese, set that aside. We're going to need it later. But in the meantime, we're going to work on our tomato sauce. And we're just going to do a very simple, basic tomato sauce. Super easy. Now, in a small saucepan over about a medium heat, I'm going to start to add my ingredients. And I'm just going to start off with about 2 tablespoons of garlic. And I'm just going to let that warm up for a little bit inside of our pot. And then once that's warmed up, we're just going to throw in our tomato sauce. And I'm using a whole can of crushed tomatoes. I prefer to use plain tomatoes in a can rather than a pre-seasoned jar, just because I like to season it myself. And as you see right now, I'm going in with salt, pepper, parsley, basil, oregano, and Italian seasoning. We're also going to go in with onion powder and a bit of sweetener. I like to use sugar sometimes I prefer stevia. If you want it to be a more healthier option, go with the sweetener, and that's what I chose to do today. And then just go on ahead and stir that all together. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add some fresh parsley to it. I'm just breaking it up with my fingers a bit. I want it to be a little bit more large pieces, more large leaves, and then I'm just going to mix that in as well to our sauce. And then you want to bring your sauce to a boil, and then you're going to, as soon as it hits a boil, reduce it to a simmer, and then just let it be while we work on our eggplant. So, as you can see, there's like water. The water is a result of us putting the salt on our eggplant earlier. It drew out all of that moisture, so that way it's not too wet when we bake it or fry it. We're just going to pat it dry, and then once we're done, we're going to get a large frying pan over medium heat. We're having it on about a medium-high heat. I'm just going to add some extra virgin olive oil to the pan. Once it's hot, I'm going to spread that oil around. It takes about a minute to warm up, and then I'm just going to add my eggplants directly inside of the pan. Now normally with eggplant parm, eggplant is breaded and then fried, but because we're doing a more healthier option, I opted to opt out of that. I personally like it both ways. I like it breaded and I like it not breaded. So you got your options. And I'm just going to season our eggplant with some salt, pepper, and some paprika. When you're done with the seasoning, we're just going to let our eggplant sit in that pan and pan fry a bit for about 2 to 3 minutes per side. You just sort of want to start getting a little bit translucent in parts and getting a tad bit of color. Then I'm going to go in with a bit more of that extra virgin olive oil that we used on the bottom of the pan. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the top of the eggplant because we're going to have to flip it over and we want it to cook, and it's going to need some oil because it's going to soak up a lot of that oil that we initially put down. So after you're done with that, flip it over and then re-season it with the salt, pepper, and the paprika, and then let that go for about another 2 or 3 minutes. Checking every about a minute and a half just to see how it's going, make sure it's not overcooking. And once you feel like it's done and it has those characteristics, take it out of your pan and put it into your baking dish. So I just use a square non-stick baking dish, but a glass dish would work. It doesn't have to be square, it can be round. Base the size of the pan you want to use on the size of the eggplant parmesan that you want to make. Now, using that tomato sauce that we left simmering, we're just going to put some over top of our eggplant and make sure you spread your eggplant out in a nice even layer. And then we're gonna get about half of that cheese that we had that was grated, and we're gonna sprinkle that over top. And then we're just gonna repeat these layers until when you get to that final layer of eggplant that you have, you're just gonna sauce it again. And then instead of going with the grated cheese, we're gonna go in with those rough slices that we did earlier. And I'm just gonna layer them across the top anywhere that I see fit. Like, I'll break up a couple pieces as you see me doing to make it look more prettier. And then I'm just gonna put it in the oven at about 350 for about 40 minutes, 40 minutes. And then I'm gonna put it on broil for the last 4 minutes. And just keep checking when you put it on broil because it will go very fast. Next, I'm gonna move on to my berry compote. So I'm using raspberries and blueberries, and I just put in, again, some of that same sweetener that I used earlier in the tomato sauce, and a little bit of lemon juice. And then over medium heat, we're just gonna mix our berries every minute or so, and then let it simmer for about 5 minutes until it boils, and then you're good to go. So I just garnished off my Parmesan with some parsley, and I put my berries over Greek yogurt. We could do it over ice cream, that'd be delicious too, and we're done. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to see more videos in the future. Till next time, bye!